Whether or not you like it, relationships require boundaries. And so often in our world, we don't know how to set them. We don't know where we need to set them. We don't know how we communicate them. We don't know if it's right or if we're being too dramatic or if it's going to lead to abandonment or if it's going to mean that people think we're too much or not enough or we're going to be unlovable because we set a boundary. But in fact, boundaries allow us to get to know who somebody really is. It allows relationships to be more filled with love. And the more that you set boundaries out of love, out of authenticity, and out of what you actually value and desire and need, the more you are calling in secure attachment. Because we cannot have a healthy relationship with anyone who is permeable, let's say. When we don't have any boundaries, imagine that we're interacting with somebody that is a open box. When we also don't want to be interacting with somebody that's so closed that we can't get in. So it's either open or it's a hard line where you can't even get through to them. And healthy, secure relationship means that there's a balance between individuality and togetherness. And this is where I look at healthy boundaries as a dotted line. There's moments where we butt into each other's individuality, where there's a boundary, where there's clarity of like, that's where you end and I begin. This is where I end and you begin. And that's where the boundary is set. And then other times we have the opening between lines where we get to go in between and we get to flow between each other's sense of self. And we get to find this beautiful co-creation. But we can't co-create when we don't know who we're co-creating with. We can't co-create a healthy relationship when there's no sense of clear self of, hey, this is what I desire. Hey, this is what works for me. Hey, this is what my capacity is today. Hey, this is a number one priority within relationship and I'm not seeing it emphasized within your life. I'm not seeing it exercised within our dynamic. I'm feeling a challenge in finding this flow with you. And so in relationship, it requires communication. And what happens when we have blocked energy in our system, when we have blocked inner child dynamics, is our throat closes, our heart closes, our solar plexus closes, our sacral chakra closes, our root chakra closes. We don't feel safe. We don't feel like we can express. We don't feel like the ability to be in our heart space. We get too stuck in our head. We feel like our throat closes because we can't speak our truth. And so I wanted to share a reading around this that I think may really resonate around how to tap into secure attachment within your relationships to find this balance between individuality and togetherness. And it requires forgiveness, and you must forgive yourself in order to open up the space to start setting clear boundaries. No matter how much work we've done on ourselves, no matter how committed we are to our healing, there may be a part of us that's 4 years old when we deal with certain people. There may be a part of us that still feels frozen, frightened, powerless, and abandoned when we face certain situations. This is where your fight, flight, freeze comes on, and we aren't acting as our adult selves. We're acting as this little version of ourselves that's been locked away. So we all may be dressed up, look grown up, have a professional hat on, but the person wearing it is 4 years old and scared and afraid to speak up and relax and be who we are. A powerful, sensitive, creative, competent, intelligent, wise adult. Sometimes we're not operating as that wise adult because the inner child has been unexpressed. And the inner child wants to find its individuality, right? That the child part of us wants to be free and expressive. And when it didn't feel free to be expressive, it gets stunted. And so part of us gets stunted at these younger ages, and it starts coming out and getting projected into our adult selves. So watch for these 4-year-olds. Be gentle and kind and compassionate. Forgive them for being so frightened. They have reasons that are valid and understandable and sometimes noble. But their reasons come from a long time ago, and this is now. We're grown now, we're strong, we're free, we can walk away, speak up, laugh, say how we feel, but we can't be abandoned anymore because we know how to live on our own. So reminder that you know how to live on your own. And this week, I want you to ask yourself, how can I cultivate relationships that both balance, that can be balanced in individuality and connection? My individuality needs and my connection needs, where it's a dotted line of like, I'm protecting my individuality and I'm coming in to connect with you over here, right? If I'm over here and you're over here, how is this a dotted line where we can connect and flow in between individuality and connectedness? Which ones already provide that balance for you in their life, and what qualities does that person on the other side exhibit to allow you to safely flow in between, to make you feel honored and understood? And what boundaries or asks can I communicate if I have relationships in my life that don't have that balance, that don't have that flow, that I notice that my throat closes when I'm wanting to communicate something, where I notice that I fall into that 4-year-old version of self, where I notice that I'm frightened. I'm frightened of abandonment. I'm frightened of intimacy. I'm frightened of rejection. If that's coming up for you, how could you invite somebody in to know you deeper through your boundaries? And so boundaries always invite people into more love. Yet when we can't set a boundary, it's because there's something blocked within us, making us operate from a place of shame. Shame that I'm not good enough. Shame that I can't ask for what I need. Shame that little version of me felt so scared, so unloved, so neglected, that I must not be worthy of relationship like I desire. I must not be worthy of speaking my truth. I must not be worthy of pulling somebody closer. I must not be worthy of the safety or the boundary. And so clear no's are really important. Clear yeses are really important. And when we don't have clear boundaries within a relationship, we can't ever expect secure attachment, because secure attachment means that you can trust somebody's no means no and trust that somebody's yes means yes. Insecure attachment, avoidant, disorganized, which is also fearful avoidant, or avoidant attachment, means that there's some ambiguity, there's some incongruence in relationship. It means that oftentimes you don't know if somebody's no is really a no. You don't know if somebody's yes is really a yes. And I say this with a caveat because we all have all versions of attachment. You're not just anxious, you're not just avoidant, you're not just fearful avoidant, you're not just secure. We're going to experience ourselves fall back into these 4-year-old versions of ourselves, these 8-year-old versions of ourselves, these 12-year-old versions of ourselves, these 18-year-old versions of ourselves, these 28-year-old versions of ourselves, these 35-year-old versions of ourselves. No matter what age you're at, you are going to experience yourself feel these fears and feel these moments where you feel incongruent, where you close your voice, where somebody's demeanor reminds you of what you experienced at 4, reminds you of an experience you had at 12. And it allows the body to process that which has not been processed. And so it's so important to start asking yourself, what environments let me, encourage me, and support me in being my most authentic, aligned version of self, that speaks their truth, that owns their desires, that creates from a place of desire, from a place of truth, from their gifts. Because when we aren't creating from our gifts, what brings us alive, we're dulling our potential, we're dulling our life force, we're dulling our truth. And we are most contagious when we're operating from our true individuality, our true higher self individuality. And that allows connection, that allows real true community and co-creation. But we can't expect really healthy, fulfilling relationship if we're operating from a dulled version of ourselves. Because we're inspired when somebody operates from their full self, their higher self, their true self. And so prioritize environments that make you feel welcomed to be all parts of you. Welcomed without shame, without guilt, without having to shut down, and ask for what you need to create that safety, to create that connection, because you deserve it. So happy individuality and togetherness this month all together. I hope it brought you some clarity on how you can show up more fully.